Hey everybody, welcome to Sophistic Cakes by Mary. This little extra video is going to be something that a lot of you have asked me for and something I haven't really done much of, and that is showing you how I make one of my recipes. Now this is a chocolate cake recipe, and I will be honest, I am not a baker. I learned to bake out of necessity, so I have something pretty to decorate. And in the meantime, in all the years of doing this, I have discovered some really good recipes. And a lot of my recipes are a hybrid recipe that starts with a cake mix and then you add a whole bunch of stuff to it to make it really moist and really delicious. And these are the ingredients that we're starting with. I'm going to go ahead and add the recipe in the link below so that you can get a list of all the ingredients and how much that you're using of each of them. But this is just a quick little peek at what these ingredients are. And first thing we're going to do is get this, the only thing we're going to do is get this cake recipe going. And we're going to start with our boxed mix, chocolate cake recipe. It doesn't matter which recipe you use or which box you use. I just don't suggest Dunken Hines. That, since it has the extra pudding in it and we are adding our own pudding to it, like right there, it makes it a little too dense and it doesn't like to rise in the middle. So go ahead and mix all of your dry ingredients together. You can put them all in one bowl and just have your beater just kind of incorporate it for you while you are getting your wet ingredients ready. And what is in that mixer is extra flour, extra sugar, cocoa powder, your pudding mix, some salt, and I don't think I'm forgetting anything. But in a measuring cup, we're gonna mix our milk and some chocolate syrup and get our oil in there. And I just kind of like to mix the things separately and then put them all together. But you don't have to. Honestly, you can just dump this all in your bowl and mix it up for 2 minutes. As long as you're scraping your bowl in between here and there, then you should be fine. But I just kind of feel a little bit more organized if I'm doing it this way. Do your dry separately, then mix your wet into it. And now we're just adding the sour cream. And this mixer that I have here, this is not my favorite mixer. It's just the only one that fits under my countertop, under the cupboards. Honestly, my KitchenAid is my favorite, but it doesn't fit in my kitchen. So this one, the beater, the mixing blade does not reach all the way down to the bottom of the bowl, so you'll see me scraping a lot. You shouldn't have to scrape that much. Maybe twice as you're going. And then I'm gonna crack my eggs in a separate container to make sure that there are no shells in it. And make sure, well, it does help if your eggs and all your ingredients are at room temperature. It's not 100% necessary with these recipes that I like to use, but it helps. It helps so that it rises better, I find. So go ahead and just kind of get those whisked together a little bit. And here I go scraping that bowl again. See how much I pull off of that bottom? If you don't do that a couple of times, a lot of your ingredients don't get incorporated and you'll have a bunch of it at the bottom of your bowl when you're pouring it into your pans. And just go ahead and just scrape that bowl here and there. I know it's annoying, but in the end, it's just it prevents an extra step later. And then go ahead and mix all your eggs in together. You could break them in one at a time if you're not worried about shells, but I am. So I just do it that way. And I'm scraping my bowl down again and getting that beater scraped off. Also, it always collects on mine. It always collects right there in the middle because it's not reaching down to the bottom of the bowl. I can't wait until this mixer dies and I can replace it, to be honest. And then for the parchment paper, I just pull a large piece out. And then since I'm going to do 6 pans, I'm folding it in thirds and then folding it in half again. And then use your marker or a pen and trace around your pan and then cut off the extra. And that way you can get all of your pieces cut at the same time. If you're doing more than 6 pans, I would probably do it in separate batches just because sometimes the paper gets kind of bunched up together and you don't get real good even cut there. And I'm just using some, it's not Pam, but it's a Pam type spray, a butter nonstick spray. You can use the Wilton without the liners, works great. Or you can also make a goo or a goop. I think it's made with shortening and cornstarch or corn flour or something. I don't know. I've never made it before, but I know other people do use a goop that you brush on your pan to get it to release. But, for my purposes right now, just using the spray and the liner works just fine. You don't really necessarily have to flour your pans, But if you feel better doing that, go for it. And after 2 minutes of mixing on medium, that is very important. Mix for 2 minutes after everything is incorporated on medium to medium-high speed. And what that does is that incorporates air into your batter, which helps it rise more. With these recipes that I use also, we have found at the bakery. I'm not going to show you the ones that we use at the bakery. This one we do not use at the bakery. It's a mixture of my recipes and my boss's recipes. So there are some that I can show you. We have found that if we chill these in the refrigerator for a good hour before we bake them, up to overnight, we get a better rise in the batter. I don't know why. It just seems to work. So that's a little helpful hint there too. And then I'm just using my scoop, ice cream scoop, to get the pans level, the same amount of them. You can weigh them out if you prefer to, or you can just eyeball it and just pour them into the pans. Whatever way works best for you. But if you're looking for level or even layers, you're going to want them to have the same weight amount inside of them, or make sure that you're pouring the same amount in by using the scoop. That works really well for me. Now we're going to put them in an oven that was preheated to 325 degrees. I would check the 6-inch pans after 15 minutes, and then check every 5 to 10 minutes after that until they have rose in the middle and they are firm to the touch and they're not gooey. You can use a toothpick or a cake, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a metal skewer to check the doneness to make sure there isn't any of the batter on these, the toothpicks or the skewer when you pull them out. Then you know your cake is done. And let them cool for a good 10 to 15 minutes on the rack. And then this is how I store them. I just tap them out of the pans and I wrap them in saran wrap. Take that parchment off the bottom. And since I use these the very next day for the last cake I uploaded, I just did 1 layer of saran wrap and just left them at room temperature, or you can leave them in the refrigerator. It's a myth. You can definitely refrigerate or freeze these recipes. Absolutely. In fact, it makes them better, I think. Just make sure that if you're going to freeze them or refrigerate them, do a double layer of saran wrap. They're good in the freezer for at least a month. I'm serious. Especially if you're using a simple syrup. When you are assembling your cake, you'll be just fine. And here they are, all wrapped up and ready to go. And I decided to play them like a musical instrument. But aren't they pretty? I mean, seriously, guys, these doctored recipes, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed to use these recipes. The only thing that is pre-done on these is a pre-mixed dry ingredients cake mix. You're adding all the extra ingredients. So if you guys end up liking this type of a video, I will do more. Let me know. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video. And if you'd like to watch some other videos, go ahead and click on the link to one of these other videos shown here. And if you would like to check out my other social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Sophisticakes by Mary. And please take the time to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload another video. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.